Hello, my name is Max. Some of you may know me from previous ADLSs, some of you may not. I'm currently working at Igalia on WebKit and JavaScript core, but I did learn how to program using Common Lisp. In either case, this lightning talk is not going to be about Common Lisp, but it certainly inspired my experiences with Lisp. So, in my spare time, for some years now, I guess, I've been working on this project I call Capsule. It started being a assembler and a compiler, which compile a yet unnamed language. And by now I'm writing a Lua interpreter in that unnamed language. So to give a high-level picture, the compiler and the assembler are actually written in Lua. So very soon I shall be self-hosting. And yeah, other facts of interest might be that there are no dependencies except for currently still LuaJIT, or for that purpose, any Lua implementation, because I don't have one of my own yet. And I guess to a certain extent Linux, because this is targeting Linux, and I suppose GDB, because I'm not going to get to writing a debugger anytime soon. But other than that, it's completely self-contained, and hence the name Capsule. It's a little programming world in a capsule. So the compiler is written, as I said, in Lua, and I guess in the scope of a lightning talk, there's not much time to talk about anything really, but to give some idea of what it does, it's based on single static assignment form. I suppose it's fairly contemporary as far as compilers go, maybe a little bit like let's say 10 years ago. It emits ELF objects, Linux ELF objects. I guess one dependency I failed to mention earlier is that we do need a linker. I did not write a linker, but any Linux linker will do. And yeah, by now the compiler is quite capable. It does a bunch of optimization passes, it does inlining and whatnot. It's not super fancy, but it's, with the little amount of code that it has, fancy enough that I would call it satisfactory to write some low-level systems code. On the left here, you have some examples of the language that I'm compiling. It looks like Lua. It is closer to C, however. It is statically typed. All types are inferred automatically by the compiler. It has arrays and structs. And another bonus is that every instruction register the assembler knows about are automatically added as built-ins. So you can invoke syscall and it will just emit a syscall instructions, bind stuff to registers, and hence, for example, implement syscalls like so. So currently I am implementing a Lua interpreter using this language, source code of which you can see on the left here, all work in progress. Another cool thing is that I not only emit ELF objects, I also emit dwarf debug info, so you can already debug your programs quite effectively, and I think that's a lot of fun. To showcase, I can print here the Lua state. It knows about the structures of the program, and I can step through the source code and the program, and that all works. And yeah, at the moment I can run a Hello World Lua program through my interpreter, more yet to come. And yeah, that's all for me. Thank you for listening and watching, I guess. Bye-bye.